You mentioned that you were really not letting go. Like you feel like you weren't able to swing your best under pressure and like let go. I know you've done a ton of personal development and course management, worked with so many different coaches and players and stuff. What would you say? Do you feel like you were able to find that one thing that did let you, swing freely on the course?
Yeah, man, in the moment, it was the pressure of it was the financial pressure, it was the pressure of having an opportunity to, walk through the door, so to speak, of, what you wanted to do in life, that
Hmm.
dream and all that. And so like I had a lot of things that were what I would say it was perceived pressure more than anything. It was just, you're just living your life out there, but
Hmm.
zero extra money, like very no margin for, no margin for error. So it was I felt like I could do it while being a little bit more protective and
Hmm.
not, kind of wasting shots. Like again, I didn't even have any sort of understanding really of proper course management at the time. So I thought that I could, I thought I could work my way around the golf course well enough, make enough cuts, make enough money, get to Q school that without being, aggressive, ultra aggressive. But I was just telling myself a story, man. I just
Hmm.
wasn't, I was just I hate to say afraid, but maybe fear was the big one, honestly.
Hmm.
Maybe it was fear that was holding me back a little bit, just because you didn't want to lose your opportunity, right? You're finally there. You've worked so hard to
Mm.
get there. And it's like, okay, now I'm here. I got to protect this sort of, this one opportunity that I have. I have to protect it. And that's exactly the opposite thing that you have to do, for sure. Like that's exactly the exact opposite of how you compete with really good players who are doing this, the opposite thing that you are. They're letting it go. They're being super
Hmm.
aggressive, not reckless. They're just being super aggressive. They're playing the game that has gotten them to that point, as opposed to just trying to hold it together, right? I mean, so yeah, I mean, I've learned that eventually over the years, and now I just don't care, right? So if I go to the golf course and I'm playing in anything, I don't care. I really
Hmm.
don't care, right? I have kids now. I have a wife. I got all this stuff going on. I get it, right? Like I have the perspective now. Look. It's like you're playing around a golf. You know the only way you're going to play well is if you just rip it, right? You just got to let it go. You have to. Like we already know what happens when you don't do that, right? All sorts of bad things happen. So that's perspective, but it can be taught though, right? You can teach somebody that at an
I was gonna
early.
say, let's because I know everyone's felt it, right? Let's say you're gonna maybe shoot under par for the first time or break 80 for the first time. So someone's listening right now and they're trying to get past that plateau and they feel like they're starting to guide it. What would you tell them to think about during the round, or if they notice they're playing with fear and not freedom?
Yeah, you just have to have a system in place, right? That's why we talk about a systems constantly. And I'm so
Hmm.
sick of talking about it at this point because everybody talks about it, a process, you got to be committed, you got to do all this stuff. It's like we've way overdone it. The pendulum has swung way too far with all of this, all of this sort of monologue about this. It's like if you and I were playing catch, I would just say, dude, just hold up your mitt. Give me a target, and I'm just going to throw it. Now, I'm fully committed to that, right? I see your mitt. I'm totally committed. I don't have to think about being committed. I don't have to tell myself, like, okay, dude, you really have to think about hitting that target. It's like we way, way, way overthink it in golf, but we also have a lot more on our mind in the moment. There's pressure. We put all this stuff on ourselves, especially if you're trying to break a PR or whatever that is. So you got to have a little bit of a protocol in place there, and you got to practice that,
Hmm.
right? So like you got to know, hey, if I'm feeling pressure, what do I have to rely on here? All right. So then in practice, like you take a block of time and you go, okay, this is my practice time for when I'm really feeling pressure. What am I going
Hmm.
to do? All right, well, I have a pre-shot. I have these things that I think about when I'm swinging. I'm either target focused or I'm feel focused or whatever it is. And you work that over
Hmm.
and over and over and over. So it's just automated. You don't have to worry about it anymore. And so then when you're in that moment, you're like, I'm not, I'm sort of, I'm out of my mind here a little bit. I don't know. It's not supposed to, what am I supposed to think about in this moment? I feel pressure. Well, you have something that you can fall back on. That's the key. Like you
Hmm.
have to work on that. Like it has to be something that's a skill. You have to train it.
So with the like you said, kind of carving out some time for practice, like is there any ways you've found that work with simulating pressure in practice?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, so you would just like set up a drill. Like if you're just hitting a driver, set up your window on the range, right? You have
Hmm.
try to find a 60-yard wide window and then something in between that, right? Like maybe 20 yards. So that you could try to hit through that. So that's the game, right? And
Hmm.
maybe you're keeping track, you're trying to beat a certain score. And then
Okay.
when you're doing that, what are you thinking about during execution? Are you target oriented? Are you feel oriented? This is a really big deal because this is the part
Hmm.
that gets people. Like you do all this work on the range, you're kind of mindless, you're hitting it through the target over and over again. Then you get on the course and you're like, I have no idea what I just did. Like, well, in that moment when you execute, like what are you thinking about? Because if you just held up a mitt and I'm just going to hit the target, well, I'm totally target oriented with you, right? I'm
Hmm.
just trying to hit the mitt. I don't have to think about anything else. I'm just looking at the mitt. So some people can do that, right? Some people can look out to a target and hold that picture in their mind. I'm not really good at that.
Okay.
I'm way better off with a feel orientation, right? So, like when I take practice swings, especially full swing, I want to feel what it's going to feel like for the ball to come off the face 3 or 4 or 5 times. I
Okay.
just do this back and forth, right? Like I'm trying to feel that. And then I get up, take one look at the target, and the entire time I'm swinging, I'm just trying to, as I'm hitting the ball, I'm trying to get that feel off the face. And it really works for me, dude. It really has brought, solid contact back much more consistently than it was, for sure. So that's what I have to think about on the golf course too. Like if you have something strong like that, what else are you going to be thinking about?
Mm.
Right? So train that, train that, train that. Train the pre-shot up to that point where you're going through your target selection, all that stuff, and then really work on that target orientation and the field orientation. Then you have something solid.